Cory Benhardt here, your Philly Burbs realtor. All right, so I know this topic isn't too cheery and exciting, but it's real. And if you're thinking about moving to the Philly metro area, or if you already live here, I feel that you really need to know this information prior to making any decisions. All right, let's get started. First off, there's very little inventory in the Philly metro area. Builders and developers were hesitant to build when the coronavirus started, and now that they're back to being able to build, they're running into a huge issue with the lack of lumber and overall lack of building supplies. Because of the lack of lumber and lack of building supplies, that increases their cost to obtain those materials, which then overall raises the price on the home that they're building. So next issue that we need to talk about is almost every home is running into a multiple bid situation. So there's multiple offers on one single house. And yes, you may think, well, that's great for me if I'm a seller. And technically, yes, it is. But what we've found is many sellers aren't selling, even if they want to, because they're concerned about once their house is under contract, where will they be living and how long will it take for them to get under contract on a new home. And because anybody who wants to sell their home isn't, because of the increased buyer demand, which then reduces the inventory, and it's just a constant hamster wheel. So while there are plenty of options to guarantee that you have a home under contract or some sort of plan ready to go for when you do list your home, so that you're not rushing to get into a home after your current home is already under contract. Unfortunately, many sellers are not aware of these options to guarantee their security that they'll have a home before they have to settle on theirs. So you're probably thinking, great, so I'm a seller, I want to sell for top dollar and then I'll just rent for a little bit. And that's very true, but in most areas, rental prices are rising as well because of taxes. But we'll cover that later. But before we move on, I want to make sure that you stick around to the end of the video, where I will give some tips and tricks on how to get your offer accepted in this market. Okay, so back to these points. I've recently worked with a couple clients, and let's say that their budget is up to $400,000. But since the increased buyer demand, homes are selling at or typically above asking price. So realistically, they can really only look for homes up to $385 to $390 to leave a bit of buffer room in there for negotiations in case they need to offer above asking. But there's a huge problem with that, and the problem is that if they're, let's say, approved up to a certain amount, but they're searching for homes below that number because they know that they have to offer above the listing price in order to beat the other buyer demand, then they're going into a home with little to no equity. The whole point of buying a home is to buy it, gain equity, resell it, use that equity to buy a new house, and just keep doing the same up and up and up every blank number of years. And if they're already buying at the absolute top of their budget, that could mean that they could be forced to stay in their home for longer to try to get some equity, to then resell it and put that equity towards a new house so that they can move up. So don't get me wrong, there are tons of people moving here and there are tons of homes that are selling, and plenty of people can afford it. Some of the major reasons why our market is so hot is because people from all over the country are moving here from other places that are completely shut down, and they just don't want to be there anymore. And I totally get that, and that's why our market is so hot. But homeowners aren't selling because they're concerned about being able to find a house after their house is sold. All right, so the absolute biggest problem that we're facing here is taxes. I don't want to get too deep into the tax talk, so I'm not going to talk exact numbers or anything like that. But we do need to understand that since homes are selling $10, $20, $30, $40,000 or more over asking price in some cases, that is causing home values around them to rise as well, which will end up increasing taxes because the values are rising also. So what does that mean to you as a buyer or current homeowner? It means over time, yes, your property value could go up, but also your taxes could go up as well, just because of the increased sales around the area, which will raise your property taxes and could potentially push people out of their homes due to the increase in taxes. All right, so next up, forbearance. So when it comes to forbearance, a lot of homeowners are coming up on the end of their forbearance, which means they'll need to start to pay again, sell their home, or foreclose, which is absolutely horrible. There's nothing I hate to see more than people getting forced out of their homes because of payment issues. So I don't want you to think that Philadelphia is all doom and gloom, because it's certainly not. There's plenty of people moving here. They're finding homes. There's a lot of great things happening in Philadelphia and outside of Philadelphia. A lot of people are buying and selling real estate and can absolutely afford it. I just feel this is a huge issue that I need to let you know about if you're thinking about moving here. I'm not telling you not to move here. I just want you to know and to be able to consider all aspects of the current market and specifically the market here in Philly and in the surrounding suburbs. All right, so what are tips that can help you navigate this crazy market? Number one, get pre-approved. Get your finances in order. That's the number one most important thing. Get pre-approved by a local and highly rated mortgage lender. It doesn't have to be one of my lenders that I recommend. Just make sure that they're local and highly rated, and just make sure they know what they're doing to help you navigate. Second is if your offer is contingent. So side note, what's contingent mean? Contingent is if your offer is contingent on the sale of a home. If you're submitting an offer, but you need your current home to sell first before you can use those funds to buy your new house, that's considered an offer that's contingent on a home sale. So when it comes to a contingent offer, make sure your home is already under contract and that you have proof to show the sellers on the home that you're offering on that your house is already under contract, already sold, already good to go. So why does this matter? Because if you get into a multiple offer situation with a home sale contingency, the sellers will most likely go with an offer that is non-contingent on the sale of a home, because that reduces the risks of their home not closing on time either. Because they know if the buyer's home doesn't sell, then their home won't be able to sell on time either. So again, I don't want you to think that the market here is all doom and gloom. The reality is that there's still homes available if you stay consistent and you have an aggressive, knowledgeable agent and a local lender, and set a plan in place and make sure you understand the process and how to navigate it.